So it'll take a moment for us to.
Yeah. We actually figured out how to live stream YouTube and Facebook simultaneously while recording our show.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, so are we. It was definitely
And it didn't happen until we were
given
the winning kick out of the studio we were using.
We were at a professional studio, and
Yeah.
this looks and sounds better. We were given the winning kick out of there,
Okay.
and it turned out for the best as always.
Excellent. Very cool.
It always does.
You know, you just trust the universe.
Yes.
It generally works out the way it should, or will, anyway.
Oh, that's good stuff. Oh, hang on.
Yeah, that's working.
Remember, we're going to do, as soon as that works, you know what I'm going to do?
Yeah, we're going to record audio.
We're going to record audio.
Yeah, almost done.
Oh, no, that was Janine Colodje talking in the camera?
Now what I'm going to do, I think I can go here, the channel. Wait. Can I edit this?
There it is.
Hold on a second. Let me see if I can do this or not. See if I can add. I'm going to put in the description this week so that in real time anything.
Oh,
So we can start recording the audio.
you sure?
Well, or you can wait 2 seconds.
I'll wait. Just one moment, Paul.
Sure.
One magic moment. Are we on YouTube right now?
We are on YouTube.
Hello, YouTube. So list.
We have actually, well, we'll see them once we're fully going. People tune in to the
Yeah.
live stream.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Oh shoot, that's not what I want. Do you have a website for the Unity of Pompano?
Yeah,
Beach?
it's unitypompanobeach.org.
Okay, unitypompanobeach.org. I'm just going to drop it in the description so people can.
Cool. They can watch live stream. They can watch it on Sunday morning at 11 Eastern.
Great.
And we're going to try to do Nancy's memorial on live stream. It just depends if we can get the tech guy to come in.
That'd be awesome.
All right.
All right, are you ready, Ed? We're going to press record. And now, Paul, you can mute your audio and video, and you'll hear us talk for the next 25 to 28 minutes, and then you'll be on the air with us.
Yep, and our friend Tracy that I mentioned is out there watching.
Watching.
So hello, Tracy.
Okay. I will mute.
We'll see you soon. All right, folks. We're in for a really big show, as Ed used to say.
Yes.
when Ed used the pseudonym Sullivan instead of Biagiotti.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that?
No. Oh, like Ed Sullivan style? Oh yeah. Of course I remember that. The wig I wore was incredible, impeccable. All right.
Are you ready?
Let me try to get this mic going. Oh yeah. Nice. Hello, Krista Macavina.
Tell me when you're ready.
Hello, Macavina. All right, I'm ready.
Welcome to The Funniest Thing.
Yes.
Where each week we share stories about how stepping out boldly always leads to better than expected outcomes.
Yes, it does.
I'm Darrell.
I'm Ed.
And we're broadcasting live from middle school studios in beautiful downtown Culver City, the heart of Screenland.
Oh, man, and we could not be happier to be here. We have a great show today called You Can Work Your Own Miracles with Reverend Paul Tenaglia. Be miracle-minded. Regardless of what others are doing or saying, it is done unto you as you believe.
As you believe.
What we believe carries a lot of weight. Our beliefs become true for us through the law of cause and effect. Faith is the perceiving power of mind to shape substance, a magnetic power that draws unto us our heart's desires. Is that Fillmore?
That is from The Revealing Word by Charles Fillmore. Yes.
And it is that simple. So why not challenge ourselves to put it to the test in our daily affairs? On this episode, Darrell and Ed encourage listeners to believe boldly and take note. In other words, experiment with the law of cause and effect. Be aware of your mental approach to your circumstances and notice how your circumstances correspond. This is so important. And joining the show during the second segment, Creative Living, Paul Tenaglia, motivates us to remain miracle-minded with today's reading, cooperating with God's good, and much more. I mean, this is already a miracle-minded show.
This show is so miracle-minded, ladies and gentlemen. The title of this show came from Nancy Norman, who was originally going to be today's guest. And she recommended a book, and we're going to recommend it to you if you could find it. It's no longer in print, but you could buy them used.
Right.
And it is called You Can Work Your Own Miracles by Napoleon Hill.
Napoleon Hill.
So she recommended us to check out that book, and we always follow Nancy's suggestions.
Yes.
She never leads us astray.
No.
And on Monday, I was talking with her, and she was so excited to tell me that she had finally found the perfect church to go to when she was not doing her talks. And she was just there on Sunday, and it was Unity of Pompano Beach.
Yes.
And then she went on to say, Darrell, I talked to Paul Tenaglia, and he's the minister, and there's another fellow there I met,
Joe Hopper.
Dr. Joe. I don't know if it's Hopper or Hooper.
Hooper. All right.
But so we got in touch with both of them, and in the meantime, how would be the best way to phrase that? Nancy went to do a higher work.
She flew the coop.
She flew the coop.
She passed away.
She passed on. And the best thing we could think of is, well, who are we going to get for this week? Well, Nancy recommended Paul.
Yep.
So, and she had such a great time at his service. Let's just ask him, is he available this Saturday?
Yes.
And this is how we always know it's going to be a great show and a great guest. Because as soon as we asked, he's like, I mean, he didn't know us from Adam, other
Yes.
than Nancy referred us to each other and said, sounds great. So this is in every way such a special episode.
Yes.
The whole thing, the whole way it came about, the things that transpired this week, it's just so incredible. And it's exactly the type of stuff that when Nancy would share about it with us, or we would share about the way things click like this
Yes.
to her, she would say, don't you just love it? I never get tired of this stuff. I'm so excited about it.
Yes.
And it makes me feel so good
Yes.
to know that it's working. So
That's right. And I've never felt anything like this, but all I feel when I think of Nancy, which I can feel her presence right now, is this radiant, like golden white light, her
Yes.
smiling. I can feel her presence.
Yes.
And if there's one thing that I've learned, particularly during spending time every Thursday with Nancy on her call and then getting to know her as a friend, and it's just, I am learning to not let my mind go down these fearful rabbit holes. Like, to be a true metaphysician, she introduced me really to Emma Curtis Hopkins and Raymond Charles Barker again, and a lot, but it's just, we get to choose. And we've been saying this, there is really no suffering required. There's nowhere out there or in here where there's a God that's saying, you need to suffer before you can feel good again, before you can receive
Yes.
my love, before you can feel my abundance again. And in this case, or in my work life, or with the show, or with when we're going to, Darrell has a story about the VA, or me going to get my car fixed. So much of what this is about is staying miracle-minded. I was thinking about it this morning, that when I shift into being miracle-minded, it really becomes very easy to see so many miracles and wonders at any moment.
Yes, yes.
That sometimes the challenge is to jumpstart my miracle mind. That's the divine mind that is operating on this frequency of joy and appreciation. It's always operating. That's why we talk about a morning routine.
Yeah.
We read these books. We affirm the truth. They're essential for me to activate my miracle mind.
Yes.
This changes everything. And now I was thinking, I could start using this tool. Am I looking at this through my miracle mind or not? And what would this look like through my miracle mind? Because I'm realizing more and more that the other way of looking at life is through old, dead ideas and beliefs that are not true. And Darrell said something to me the other day, and it really landed. He said, he was talking about, I was at work, and you were talking about like those fearful voices, and he said, that is not your voice.
It's not. It's never our voice. That fearful voice is not our real voice.
Yeah, and it's the only way we can know our real voice is to start using our real voice and affirming the truth. If there's one thing I learned from Emma Curtis Hopkins, it's if you speak the truth and know the truth, you become the truth. You experience the truth, and then the truth becomes very self-evident, and that truth that sets us free starts to happen, and then we start experiencing what we call miracles. Charles Fillmore would say they're not even miracles, it's just divine order. We actually tap into reality with a capital R that is always available to us.
Well, and keep in mind, the reason it's not our real voice is because it's things, negative things that fearful people implanted in us early on, or we heard on the news, or something scary we just read. And it got in there. And the reason we know it's not, or I can tell it's not the real Darrell, is because it feels bad. Just like when you get a splinter, a foreign body, it's not really me. And that's why it feels so bad. It's actually, the feeling is telling me, you know what? This is not real.
Yes.
Stop thinking along these lines and you'll feel better. And that's when the choice is up to us.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to read one line, and you can read that too.
Yeah.
You loved it, which was Emma Curtis Hopkins said, God is the life principle. Go contrary to it, which is what you were just describing, and off the track we get. Yet in the pathway of our easiest mental powers is our fearless confidence. And we have to retrain ourselves. It's very easy, but we have to get ourselves to believe it and just give it a try. It's not difficult at all. Just start lightly speaking the truth, remembering the truth. These are principles. The more I speak them, the more I see them everywhere. This is not... Things have happened even through religious and spiritual movements that have taken out the fact that it is our birthright, and it is with ease that we heal. It is with ease that all this is done. In fact, if we try to do it without the ease, it doesn't work.
Yeah, and speaking, because some people go, oh, speak the truth. What does that mean? It means saying it to yourself that this will work out in a wonderful way, even though I can't conceive of it now. And now I'm looking forward to that wonderful way it's going to come about.
Yes.
I want people to know that all these books remind us too, and all these teachers, that when we talk about the word, we're not just talking about speaking the word. That word also means the thoughts we're thinking.
Yeah, and feeling, the thoughts that are generating feeling.
Definitely the ones generating feeling. This is crazy. These just came in the mail yesterday.
This is from Kirky?
Yeah, from Kirk in Germany.
If you want to send us anything, go to send it to Funniest Thing, P.O. Box 1312, Culver City, California, 90232.
And these happen to go along perfectly with today's topic, because this is how this topic came about. There was some talk about politics on our
text thread.
No, prosperity talk on Tuesday.
Oh, yes. Okay.
And I have doubled down because there's a lot of hot topics on the...
Oh, yeah.
It's election season.
30 days till an election. Everyone's popping off.
30 days has November, April, May, and December. Yes. So I don't know. Anyway.
It's never a bad time to throw in a little rhyme.
Well, I think I got the months wrong. But anyway.
That's why I have to count them on my knuckles.
That's the way to do it. So what I had to realize for myself is the Bible verse, it is done unto you as you believe, meaning the circumstances around me, regardless of what other people are saying and doing, my personal experience, your personal experience is done unto you as you believe. And regardless of recessions or elections, your experience is going to be that reflection of how you're thinking and feeling, your mental approach to your circumstances. It's that simple.
It is.
And I've proven that throughout my lifetime. So it always boggles my brain why all of a sudden, at the beginning of this election cycle, I started flim-flapping between, one fear or another is gonna get you. Yeah, I started flim-flam, and I had to go in it because I've been through these before. The captain's on the bridge, which means God's always operating. And the bottom line is, regardless of anything and everything, my life experience is always done unto me as I believe. So knowing that went perfect with the title, You Can Work Your Own Miracles. And then I get these 2 postcards yesterday in time for the show. And I really want you to listen to these because these nail it on the head. And I got a quick reading from Katherine Ponder.
This stuff is fun, man. We're learning how to become miracle-minded, and it's fun to live this way.
Well, we get to live like mystics and really,
Yes.
I mean, this show, you know what this show is for? This show is really like Hogwarts for ignorant wizards.
Yes.
And ignorant just means ignoring the fact that you have this magic within you.
Right, and because if you haven't really been taught, like we all hear it, it's calling our name, but if we haven't built this foundation of truth to really let it in and live by it, it's easy to ignore it or try to do whatever you're trying to do, but thank God for these teachings. We don't have to do that anymore.
No, and here's the readings. Outer reforms are useless. Wait, that's it. It starts with this one. Sorry, folks. The truth depends on the intensity of the imagination, not upon external facts.
That's
Facts are the fruit-bearing witness to the use or misuse of imagination. And imagination is making images with our mind. And we make images, I either make images with joyful expectation, and the images are good images of how it's going to work out, and I always say this, there's something better, or it's morbid expectancy, which is fear. Yeah, and I'm thinking, oh no, it never work.
Right.
They're doing it to me again. This always happens.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you were telling me the story, you'll tell it momentarily, but I wanted to say it's happening when we're standing in line somewhere. It's happening. It's always happening.
Yes.
Like we pray without ceasing, whether we know it or not. So it's always happening. It's those little, it's catching it and recognizing, wow, this is, I like becoming vigilant of what we're thinking, especially when there's feeling underneath it.
That's why we're saying, take notice, believe and take notice, meaning, what if you notice your circumstances are bad? I do this all the time. When things go haywire, I go back a little and I think, I was cursing traffic.
Yeah.
Or when things are going good, holy cow, this really works.
Yeah.
Because both ways it's working. Because I was just blessing this.
Yeah.
I was imagining how good it would be if this worked out shorter than longer, my waiting time. So here's the other reading. Outer reforms are useless if the inner state is not changed. Success is not gained by imitating the outer actions of the successful people, but by right inner actions and inner talking. Both these are by Neville Goddard. And I can't mimic my way into being a success, but you can. It goes right back to that thing that I learned early on when I was brand new, when Mike Dugan, my mentor, when this guy went to talk and he said, that's the happiest guy you'll ever meet. And I was still new at this, and I judged the guy, and I looked at Mike. I go, of course he's happy, he's rich. And Mike just said, with almost like a look of disappointment that I wasn't getting it that quickly. And he said, no, he's not happy because he's rich. He's rich because he's happy. Meaning, seek the kingdom within, and all these things will be given added unto you. And I'm just going to wrap up my readings and tell that quick story with these quick ones from Katherine Ponder. And this is what we're talking about. We're just hammering home this so you try it with your daily situations. Truly, the imagination does make the condition, but it is up to you to make the image. Realizing this, you can now know that there is no need to fight or force your good to you. Instead, just get busy and quietly imagine it in detail as you wish it to be. And then declare concerning those images, this or something better. Father, thy unlimited good will be done. It is true that man becomes what he imagines, and that man's continuous imagination is sufficient to remold and create anything. But don't just take my word for it. Instead, join with me and many others who are discovering that the imaging power of prosperity is one of the most delightful and powerful of all. And we're going to hammer home this because we always talk about a morning routine. And here it is, folks. Write out each day how you wish your affairs might be in contrast to how they appear. Not only does that help your mind to accept the improvement you desire, but it is as though your written out desire goes out into the ethers and is subconsciously tuned in on, and everyone concerned begins to cooperate and help. Again, it may seem a mystical method, but if it produces practical, helpful results for you, why not dare to be a modern mystic?
Yeah, let me tell this too before you tell your story. Can I read this?
Yeah.
Okay, because you said something that I just wrote down, which is write it down. If you're living by this faith, which is a full-time, loving, fun job to do, when we write it down, what do you say? Once written, twice remembered is what Darrell says, and I'm learning that it also
we do it.
Yeah, another way of saying so after the miracles happen, write them down. Because what you're doing is reteaching also your subconscious mind about what is true for you.
Yes.
It's been trained to think all this crap, but so I'll write down now, this thing happened. And before that, I affirmed this truth.
Yes.
And then I know this is what caused this to happen. I connect the dots and it helps me digest it. And Gardner Hunting says, well, what is the faith? This book is called Prove Me Now. It's a blessing. We got this. I think Elaine Meyer sent this to us.
Yeah, these were one of the early batches.
Prove Me Now by Gardner Hunting. He says, but what is faith? The faith that produces results. It is no mere profession. It is a practice. It is a far-reaching practice of steadfastly and continuously putting good into life in the absolute, unquestionable conviction that it will produce good. We put out good thoughts, and then we will attract good as surely as a magnet attracts iron. He says, faith cannot be fragmentary, partial, or insincere. It must be whole, continuous, and all-inclusive. Remember, though, it's a practice.
Yes.
We're not going to fully feel this all the time, but we're practicing all the time. To have faith worthy of the name, I must entrust it to myself, my hopes, my purposes, all my relationships, all my desires, all my standards, all my affairs, my life itself, and all my hopes of heaven. Faith cannot admit of doubt or fear. So it's going to come up, but we just keep going back to this simple faith. He says it's a man-sized, full-time job to live by faith, and God intended that it should be. Because I used to be like, how am I going to live this forever? It's a lifelong practice, and it's intended to be that way. And it gets better and more fun and easier the more we do it.
And isn't it more fun to write down how you would like things to be than to be worried about how you don't want them to go? And making that more real.
Right, exactly.
It makes me feel so good to jot these ideas down in the morning. It changes everything.
Yes.
So real quick, because we got Paul waiting in the wings. I had a VA appointment this week, and I got a hunch last week. Maybe I should see if I should get labs done before my appointment. So they could actually see what's been going on, the blood work. So I just sent that email to the doctor. Doctor says, "Oh, I just put them in for you. Good idea." So that was Friday. My appointment was on Wednesday. So I said, "Oh, okay." And instead of panicking, going, "Oh, I should do that today," or "I'll wait till Monday, I don't want to deal with it," I didn't let either one of those sides of the coin sway me. I said, "I'm just going to go for my normal walk, and then I'll eat something, so I'm not hungry, and I'll go to walk in with no appointment to do the blood work." So sure enough, I eat, I'm ready, and it's almost lunchtime. I start thinking, "Oh, it's lunch. They're probably on break." I go, "Darrell, no, you're ready to go. Who cares? Just go. Get in the car." "Oh, traffic." No. And I just remember we talked on our last show, relaxation is faith. So I just made it a point to be relaxed. And there was traffic, and I'm just listening to the radio. I get up there 15 minutes before, I expected to get there. I park, I go in. There's no line in the blood work area. Nobody. I go in, a young guy says, "Oh, you're going to need a new VA card." Instead of going, "Oh, no, what's that going to take?" Because I started to feel those inklings.
Yep.
I said, "No." In my mind, not out loud to the young guy. I said, "No." And I go, "So where do I get that?" "At the business office." He goes, "You'll have the chip in there so you can just tap things." Okay. Boom. By the time he was done saying that, they called my name. The lady who took me was so positive and joyful doing the blood that was a pleasant experience. I thanked the young guy, go to the front, and my mind's going, "Oh, there's always a line for the business. All these, guys looking dreary in seats, VA guys,
Right.
Even though I'm one of them." But it's like and I go, "No, Darrell, no. You're a modern mystic. Like, let's have fun with this." So I started going, "No, it's going to work out in some surprising way." There's no one in front of the booth, to check in with the business office. Ladies on the phone, "Just a minute." And I started thinking, "Oh, typical. She's not going to help me. Just a minute. What's she doing? She's probably, Darrell, stop it." And I just sat there, not over, just calmly away, smiling because I just started radiating love to her. And as I'm doing this, I noticed the security guard is being joyful to everyone entering.
Yes.
And she finally greets me. She takes care of everything. And then she goes, "Oh, wait a minute. You might need to get a new photo if we don't have it on record." And I said, "Okay." And I let it go. I go, "No, it's going to be there or it's going to be effortless." All of a sudden, "Oh, your photo's here. Very good photo too. Do you have another form of ID so I could see it's still your current look?" So I go, "Here's my license. I just had my license renewed, folks. This doesn't make any sense." She goes, "Oh, looks just like you." Now, mind you, both the license and this ID from the VA, the photo on both of them, they just reused, were 5 years old, but they look the same. So she was like, "This is perfect." And then I'm wondering what next. And she goes, "We'll mail this to your house." And then I turn around and a nurse is across the way. "You want to get your flu shot?" Okay. I walked in there, boop. She was joyful. Everyone wished me a great weekend. And I was out the door. The whole thing took less than 15 minutes. And I'm saying this because I'm not going to go into the fact that the appointment itself was just a repeat of this because I went back with the same miracle-minded mystic attitude. But let me tell you, I'm sure you've heard in the news, because it's always around and I hear it everywhere. "Oh, the VA, it's a nightmare. You got to wait 18 weeks for an appointment. All the best of luck." But you know what? It's done unto me as I believe. Sometimes Ed has to remind me. Sometimes Lori has to remind me. But you know what? I don't argue with them. Like if I go, VA, Ed will go, "Remember, every time you go there, you love everyone there and you're out there more, you meet someone and it goes rapidly." I go, "Thank you." It's like our friends now are friends that want to remind us, "Hey, you graduated from Hogwarts, man. You're a wizard."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Okay." And it's done unto us as we believe. And we just want to reinforce, Start doing it with the little things. Parking spaces. I do it all the time. That's how Mike Dugan got me trained. Instead of cursing, there's not going to be a space. Bless it. There's going to be a space. And the space always ends up there, and it always ends up in the perfect place at the perfect time. And if it's a little bit farther away, it's because I bump into somebody or I'm delayed enough to meet somebody else at the checkout. I mean, it's an incredibly magical way to live.
Yeah, and I want to say I want people to take note of what you were describing there, because one of the things I learned from Nancy Norman is the power of denial. So you're using, and it when coupled with affirmation. So in each of those stories, listen, Darrell just explained, he denied the false, even though it was coming from his own subconscious mind.
Yeah.
He denied the false, and he denied the appearance of the false, and then he stated a divine truth, lightly, like joyfully stated a divine principle. That's what turns on our miracle mind. We deny the false, and we affirm a spiritual truth. The other day when I had to get my car done, the 60,000 miles. The night before I was going to go into VW to have the 60,000 mile annual service done, I got a text message that said, all cars will be with us for 4 hours or possibly the whole day. And it said guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
And I said, thanks to listen to you say it so many times, and Nancy and everything I'm reading, I said, that's not true for me. I have a feeling it's going to be very quick, because we always go, I was a first appointment, and one of the things Darrell recommended, I was just feeling good. The whole thing took me an hour and 15 minutes. I denied the reality of a 4 hour or whole day. And then they said I needed a new battery, which was going to cost twice what I had paid for it. This whole little thing, I was like, I'll get it at Costco. I just happened to be there getting tires, and I noticed the batteries. It was half of this cost. There was a Costco across the street. It wasn't open yet, so I called O'Reilly, not even knowing why. It turns out I bought my battery at O'Reilly 2 years ago. It's still under warranty, and they were right down the street. Then it turned out a lot of other things happened, but the short story is the manager goes, hey, buddy, why don't you test his battery before we do anything? He tested. It's a good battery. There was not I didn't pay, because I had paid even for my services up front. My wife was wise enough when we bought the cars to pay for all the way up to 80,000 miles. I didn't end up paying a dime that day. Actually, I did splurge on some new windshield wipers, and I tipped the guy at O'Reilly. Yeah. I was so on fire, because even though there was a lot of little stops along the way, I had taken the day off work. I was in the flow. I kept everywhere I went. I kept seeing the good.
But it makes everything fun. Even seemingly chores are fun in the process. And I want to say this, because some of you might be thinking like I used to think, well, aren't you being selfish, wanting everybody your way to be special, or everyone to be nice to you? Wait a minute. When you're blessing the situation to be positive, it's including everybody.
It includes everybody.
Because people, when they're kind to others, when they're kind to us, when I'm kind to people, I feel good.
Yeah.
We're not asking for people to do something nefarious in our favor. No, we're just calling on divine order, and divine order blesses everyone involved.
Yeah.
And everyone gets it done unto them as they believe. But we can be a blessing machine in the process.
That's actually what the kids and coaches call a win-win situation.
It's a win-win.
It's actually the name of my son's volleyball coach as well when he was in high school. Win-win.
What a great name.
What a great name. Yeah, so let's see. Let's thank our chief engineer, Jeff Comfort.
Because each week
he takes us
right into the comfort zone.
Listen to this. Kirky sent us one more card, and this quote goes perfect to end. It says, the world presents different appearances according as to our states of conscious. No. The world presents different appearances according as our states of consciousness differ. It is the state from which we think that determines the objective world in which we live.
Yes.
So you were changing the state, and I've been changing the state from which I think, and we experience a totally different world, heaven on earth, if you will.
And science even proved this with that viewing, the theory, the observer effect, where the attitude, the mental attitude of the person conducting the experiment in the lab affects the results of the experiment.
It's amazing. And but by the way, you're talking about a prosperity Zoom every Tuesday if you're on the Patreon, patreon.com/funniest thing, circulating and celebrating and supporting the show. We do a Zoom Tuesday, 4 p.m., which is amazing. Again, our whole goal is just to stay miracle-minded throughout the week and as often as possible. So, we have a few breaths, three breaths, and then we're going to invite Paul into the show.
You ready?
I mean, you got to flow with this stuff. So, let the good times roll. Let them knock you around.
Wow.
That went way higher than I thought it was.
Let the good times roll. Let them knock you around.
McCartney. Let the good times roll. Let them knock you around. All right, coming up next, creative living, Reverend Paul Tenaglia motivates us to remain miracle-minded with today's reading, cooperating with God's good, and so much more. Thank you for listening to Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed, live from middle school studios in beautiful downtown Culver City, the heart of Screen Land.
Are you going to invite Tenaglia back?
Yes.
I'm just going to fill up that with more soda.
Hello, YouTube watchers. We're going to invite Paul to unmute and bring his beautiful face back on the camera. And hey.
Hello.
Hey, we're not officially going to be on. This part is only for the YouTube live people. Jeff Comfort will cut it out when it goes up on the audio. But everyone out there, we got some people hanging out. Tracy, we're going to connect you with Paul. Tracy is my friend I was telling you about who had something to share with you. And Paul said he would love to hear from you. So know that. Tracy said, yes, the power of denials. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Darrell will be right back. And then we'll get started. Actually, I'll be right back too, because I'm going to tinkle.
Go in peace.
Wow. Paul Tenaglia.
Hey, how you
That's
doing?
Italian.
Italiano, si.
Did you know I'm Fazaro and he's Biagiotti?
Davvero. No kidding.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up outside of Boston in a town called Lynn.
Oh, wow.
Lynn, Massachusetts. Yeah, it was the shoe factory capital of the country at one point.
Wow.
My uncle actually, he manufactures shoes. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
So shoes and marshmallow fluff are the two biggies of Lynn, Massachusetts.
Oh, man.
Marshmallow fluff is still made in Lynn, Massachusetts, of all things.
That was my father's favorite treat. Was marshmallow fluff.
Oh,
marshmallow
brilliant.
Fluff and utter.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So good.
Okay. All right, shall we get started?
Yeah.
All right. You want to bring us back?
Okay. Okay, hang on. All right, welcome back to the second segment of today's show. You can work your own miracles with Reverend Paul Tenaglia.
Hey, funniest thing. Hey, Paul, I just want to share this real quick. Our friend Tracy just got the book, You Can Work Your Own Miracles, in the mail today. She just let us know. Lois Conklin is out there. Susan Hodgins in Canada. Tracy's out there. Josh is watching from Berkeley, for crying out loud.
Is he allowed to watch this
He's
show?
allowed. My wife is in Santa Monica probably watching. But Let's go. Paul, Tracy wants to know the specifics about Nancy Norman's memorial. Can we just share that straight up front so people can know?
Yeah, the memorial for Nancy Norman will be on Saturday coming up at 11 o'clock at Unity of Pompano Beach Spiritual Center, which I am the senior minister there. So I invite everybody who is in the area to come on down and let's celebrate Nancy's wonderful and powerful life. She
And
is such a joy.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to jump on you. I just want to make sure we want you to know that's October 12th, 2024. So it's this coming Saturday.
And did you mention they might be trying to live stream it, or?
It just depends if we can on Saturday get our tech people in, and we're doing our best to see what we can do to make sure we can do that. If not, then there we are.
Beautiful.
Somebody can hold their phone up and post it later.
Yeah, great. Yeah. All right, so you've been, you knew what the show was coming in, and you've been listening to us go on. So do you have anything to share straight up front?
Yeah, it's really interesting. My favorite Emma Curtis Hopkins quote is, "There's only one rule in all metaphysics. Don't complain."
Wow.
It's so powerful. I always go back to that. And when you were talking about the traffic, somebody once said, when you complain about the traffic jam, remember you are the traffic jam. Right? Because we're there. So you just have to take time and celebrate and just relax and listen to music and know that you're going to get where you're going to go because you are. That's just the truth.
I like what you're saying because we are actually part of the thing that we are judging.
Yeah.
And isn't that always the case? That is great. That is great. Thank you for that.
When we start complaining, I just go back to Emma Curtis Hopkins. Like, what am I complaining about? Does it work? No. Complaining never works. All affirming, knowing the truth, celebrating the truth, that's what gets us there. The complaining part is like, oh, it's just so tiring too. We tire ourselves out. We tire everybody around us. And, it's just a habit. It's just a bad habit that we have. We need to just turn that around and say nothing until we can find something positive to share. Right.
Right.
One of the things Nancy brought up was how when she's in traffic, and it's something I'll do too, but she just made it so clear. She says, I'll start blessing the other drivers, and it's fun to do.
Yeah.
And I even notice if I put something like, if I start catching myself complaining about the traffic and feeling impatient, if I put on a podcast or a book on tape, that's uplifting, or talk to a friend that's uplifting, like, friend, we're going to talk. All of a sudden, my attitude starts to rise, and it's as if the seas part. All of a sudden, traffic just seems to open up.
Yeah.
The reality starts to change as soon as my consciousness changes.
Sure. Yeah, I think we have to raise our vibration rate, and however you do that, whether it's through the Beatles or for me, it's show tunes. I just blast show tunes and just sing my way through, and people look at me, what music are you playing over there?
You're in the right place then, Paul. We love that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just have fun. Just enjoy it while you're doing it, and be centered in the moment, and know that's okay. Thankfully, that that we're safe, we're taken care of, and all is in perfect divine order.
It's funny that you brought up Emma Curtis Hopkins. Don't complain, because it's also it's a bad luck charm to complain. When I was in the military, I went through a training process, and the only reason that this particular facility was in existence is because about almost 10 years prior to it, Vietnam colonel, frontline guy, realized that crazy things happen in battle. And the crazy things he was talking about was, why do some guys seem to go through situations on a regular basis with impunity, and other guys seem to get shot in the butt every time? He said there has to be something scientific to this. It cannot just be luck. And he got together with the Pentagon or whatever, and was able to go research all these different religions and all these different ideas and all the new thought ideas we talk about. And he even went to Echelon up here in California, spent some time there. And the bottom line, he realized, goes perfect with that song from Rod Stewart, which is, some guys have all the luck, some guys do nothing but complain. And it was actually confirming that, like all these things are saying, our mental approach, if it's a faithful approach, a joyful, faithful approach, it seems like luck shines upon us. But if we're going around morbidly pessimistic complaining, which is fear, it seems like accidents and seemingly negative things seem to follow us, which reinforces these truths that are thousands and thousands of years old, that it's easy to be a miracle. We're always making miracles. If we're complaining or thinking negatively, I make negative miracles. Things seem to go wrong. And if I'm doing the opposite, positive ones.
Or we just put a wall up and we don't even see the miracle because it's just gone right by us because we've been affirming it away. There is a wonderful story that was told by a Unity minister. He graduated 2 years before me, and I went to his ministerial chapel service. And he was he flew a bomber in Vietnam. And he said at one point his system went out. He didn't know if he was going straight up. He didn't know if he was crashing to the earth. He had no idea. And it was really cloudy. He couldn't see anything, and he began to panic. And being a truth student, he says, all right, I just need to close my eyes for a moment and get centered in spirit to know what to do. And so he said he closed his eyes, and about 10 seconds later, he felt his head being moved. I mean, literally being moved to the left. And when he opened his eyes, there was a patch through the clouds. He could see where the ground was. And that was all he needed to be able to land safely. He said if he'd been freaking out for the whole time and just looking at his panel, looking at other places, he wouldn't have been centered enough for spirit to move his head at the right and perfect time. It's just astonishing. So, there are miracles, and miracles are simply the outpicturing of the universe in ways that we don't know how. Like my television's on right now with this wonderful background of rain in London. And I don't know how that transmits, but it's a universal law that it can. My understanding of how healing happens is irrelevant to the truth that healing happens. How is not up to me. How has never been up to me. Or how my money is going to come, or how success is going to come, or how I'm going to meet the right and perfect person at this right and perfect time. That is not up to me. My job is to say thank you and watch the miracle come forth.
Yes. That's the mental habits. Joyce Kramer, in a recent reading, that we get a daily email. Our friend Sammy Smith created kind of like a daily word type thing out of Joyce's teachings.
Sure.
And she wrote one recently that she says that poor mental habits are much more frequently responsible. Oh, it says, it is very unlikely that your lack of vitality is due to overwork, which I used to think, because I work in a public school and blah, blah, blah. I can easily adopt those mentality. But she says, poor mental habits are much more frequently responsible rather than the physical dissipation. And it is 100% true. And the more I use that school as an opportunity to decide, it makes it very clear which one I'm putting my faith in. Sure. And I have a coworker who is learning this stuff, but is a little further down the road than me and has a long time of this woe is me. And it's like we are in two different schools. No one asks me where I'm going ever.
Even though it's the same. We want to be clear. It's the same school, the same building, the same classroom.
And the same position, but I'm working a different grade. But the outcome and like the emails that she's receiving, what they're saying, the things like it's the stuff that no one even bothers me about. In that person's, it's turning into something that's serious, and they're getting in trouble for. I'm like, I don't even do that, but it's what did you say?
It's done unto us as we believe. It's done unto me as I believe. It doesn't matter what anyone else is believing about me, what anyone else is doing differently or experiencing. My experience is going to be done unto me as I am believing.
And that is just so powerful. And when I think that thought and recognize it and make it into a belief by constantly thinking it and practicing it, I become full of power, which is what I love about Emmett Curtis Hobson. It's just like, if I just gently retrain myself in these truths, I don't fight against I'll deny the negative as being true for me, but I don't fight against it. Like, just really quickly, I was in a store returning something, and there were some options or something, and I came back later to do the return, and the person was like, we were really confused about blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I didn't own it. I said, and you own the place. Imagine how I must have felt. And I just smiled, and she tried to do it again. I was like, wow. And imagine how the customers must feel. We don't even run but then because I didn't internalize it. I said, I really appreciate all of you helping me. And it turned into a love fest.
Yes.
But it was a love fest because I used the power of denial to not assent to something that I didn't agree with and wasn't mine.
Yeah, I really believe that every word we speak is a prayer. We're telling the universe what we're looking for. So when we complain, we're telling the universe we want more of this, which is shocking if we really think about what we're doing. Complaining about people, complaining about situations, complaining about money, complaining about everything. And the universe hears this as a prayer and says, okay, that's weird, but okay, if you want it, there you go.
Right.
That's the way the universe works. So every time we utter something, the powerful creation of spirit that we are, the universe goes, I would have asked for something different, but okay, this is yours. All of yours. Enjoy,
The perfect example of that, I joke with Darrell, we joke with each other, I joke with my other friend about it. It's like, imagine coming from a different planet, you knew nothing about humans, and you saw a billboard, and it's like this new movie, and it was like, it'll say stuff like graphically shocking. I doubted life. I questioned my existence for a week, 5 stars. And it's like, they're like, oh my God, I got to go see that. It's a similar kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, because I think what happens is either we're investing in the joy and the energy that comes from living joyfully, or we replace it with one way or another. I heard this said, we like our energy and our emotions to move. Mm-hmm. And so even if it's in a negative direction, that feels better, quote, than trying to hold it all in and stand still.
Sure.
But, this whole show is all about the joy, because this isn't, it's so easy to get caught up in the complaint, because we could say, fast from complaining, but it's practicing it. It's so important. It's such a powerful thing, because if we really started practicing it, these complaints are like subtly weaving themselves into so many things.
Very much so. I worked at the Silent Unity Prayer Ministry for 3 years before I went into ministerial school and as I was going through school. And I prayed with about 100, 120, 25 people every shift. And that was, you'd think that would be tiring, but it was actually energizing to be able to affirm with everybody all day long.
Wow.
But there were always these individuals who you would be praying. And the way we pray in unity is affirmative prayer. We're not praying to a God. We're praying from the awareness of spirit. And so they didn't realize you were praying, and they would just interrupt you and say, yeah, but what if it doesn't work? It's like, well, we affirm it is working, because as we state the truth, we know that it is taking hold in the universe. Okay, fine. So at the end of every wonderful prayer, there are always a few people, we call them our lovely frequent callers. They would say, well, I hope it works. I don't know about that, but we'll see, Silent Unity. They just couldn't go to that positive, joyful place. It was always a negative thing. It was always just kind of digging their heels in. And eventually they would change. It was wonderful. After a couple of years, one woman said, I finally understand what you're praying about.
Wow.
And so we were getting through to some people. So that was really lovely. But yeah, praying with people for 8 hours a day was the most energizing. And it was really the place I learned how to be a minister.
Wow.
We go through ministerial class, administration and teaching and education, and all that was very important. But But praying with people who said, there is no way, the doctor's saying there's no way this person is going to live. I remember one time a woman called, she said, my grandson is in a coma. He's 5 years old. The doctors say, prepare now, he's not going to live. And our prayer in silent unity is not that a person will live, but the healing is happening, is unfolding in the right and perfect way for the individual, whether that's to stay or to move forward in their life. What came out of my mouth as I was prepared to say that was, your grandson is whole and well, and he's alive, and he's going to continue living. And I looked around to see who said that, because that was not from me, that was from Spirit. And I looked at the supervisor to see, he was sleeping, so it was okay. He was completely out. I went, oh gosh, I didn't want to have a write up for telling somebody something that was not necessarily what we were supposed to say. So there was a crackle that went through the line. We both heard it. She said, "Did you feel that? Did you hear that?" I said, "Yes, that was pretty astonishing." She said, "Thank you." And she called back a half an hour later. Her grandson was awake. He was hungry. He was eating.
Oh, wow.
And the doctor said, this shouldn't be happening right now. And it was happening because the truth was, Spirit was at work. And where two or more are gathered, even by phone, even by podcast, there's the power of Spirit. There's the power of God at work. Totally.
And
No matter what we think.
What you said was true based on principle. Like,
yes.
I like that, because the physical form, whatever that looks like, the principle of this young man being eternally alive here and now, just like Nancy. I feel her. She is alive here and now. And funniest thing, I happen to read, I keep rereading this book, Dare to Believe by May Rowland.
Oh, yeah.
And she said, this morning, I went back to this one paragraph. She said, Unity's greatest contribution to the field of prayer is its emphasis on the affirmative prayer. Mm-hmm. It is in the contrast to the petition, "Oh God, give me this if it be thy will," which implies that perhaps God's will is negative. In Unity, we emphasize the prayer of decree or agreement. However, the affirmative prayer is not unique to us. Jesus used the affirmative prayer. Mm-hmm.
So, the Lord's Prayer is one affirmation after another. When you look at it, it's just whether he created it or not is immaterial. It's all truth. Give us this day. We demand our daily bread. People say, "Oh, how can you demand from God?" Because we're creations of the universe. We're not negatively demanding. We're simply claiming our divine share, and that's overflowing all the time.
You know what? I like this, Paul, because it's reminding myself that I don't have to suffer for it. Yeah. I'm reminding, so that, because it's here, it's for me, or I wouldn't even be here if everything wasn't here to support me here. But it shakes me loose from these false ideas that there's somehow virtue or earning power in suffering. Yeah. And that's what kept me out of religion most until I was 23, and through a series of circumstances ended up learning about these teachings that we're talking about, and it blew me away, because it's when I first started reading them. The first book I read, it was Power Through Constructive Thinking by Emmett Fox. Mm-hmm. And I was also reading Around the Year with Emmett Fox. These were recommended while I was in the military. And once I started reading that, first of all, it didn't set off any alarms in my head, because I was, even though I wasn't religious, I was prejudiced against, these Christians, these Bible belting Christians, or what. I just thought it was, I don't know what I thought, but it was not good. But reading these books didn't set off any alarms. But not only that, my mind readily accepted, like, this makes perfect sense. Now I get it. Now I get it. Mm-hmm. And it's just incredible to be able to, and it's still a struggle, though. That's the weird thing. There's still a part of me, well, I got to figure out how to earn, like how, there's some requirement of bad feeling in order before I get rewarded.
Yeah, right.
And, that's the little thing I got to keep saying. No, Darrell, you do not have to earn money the old-fashioned way. Remember that commercial? Yeah. We make money the old-fashioned way. We earn it.
That's all of us who are born American have a puritanical consciousness we have to deal with. We have to look at and move forward from, because it's always part of who we are. We see it in our culture. We see it on television. We talk to each other. We have this whole suffering and earning thing. If suffering made us holy, we'd all be saints by now, as the saying goes. And how much do you really have to work to earn? I mean, where's the standard? Where's the book? Is there a blue book that says, all right, you've earned enough to have the good, you've earned enough to become a millionaire? Where's the book? Where is it written that there is a certain amount of earning that needs to be done? We earn by right of consciousness. We earn by knowing we're creations of spirit, and therefore we already came here with it, installed, as it were. But we keep thinking there's got to be something more, because I don't have the abundance like this person over here has. And I know they don't go to church, they don't study, they don't meditate, they don't do anything, and they have all this money. Then we get real resentful. We start complaining, and we're telling the universe again, I don't have this, and I don't want it because I'm not like them. So it becomes a real vicious cycle in our prayer life, in our spiritual life. So we just need to bless them, be grateful for them. Yay, good for you, and mine's coming too. Mine's on.
Lately I add to all my prayers, and Darrell and I have been talking about this frequently, is I always I keep my affirmations simple. Like, I am worthy and deserving. And then I add, and God says now, and there's no suffering required. And I'll say, I am wealthy and successful, and God says now, and there's no suffering required, because just like you guys are saying, it's not just happenstance. It is the conditioning of our subconscious mind that will tend, because of the nature of what it is, to keep telling us what it was programmed to believe. And so a lot of my, I got a master's in spiritual psychology. I went down to psychology. I was raised Catholic, confirmed, and all of that came together to bring me where I am now, which is now my morning routine. It's different. Like, there's two morning routines. There's what my subconscious mind thinks we're going to do when we sit down at the chair and read. It's like, okay, now we're really going to admit how bad we are and blah, blah, blah. But the morning routine changes when I start reading these books and let go of that whole program and think. And I think to myself, how am I going to show up for others today too? This has been helpful for me, because when I think about it that way, what would be better in God's eyes and my own eyes, for me to walk around carrying this boulder and show up for others as a weight who might bring them down into this? Or would it be better right now if I showed up as a glowing reminder of how great God is, how great life is, and that all things are available to us now? And then I just let go of all the things my mind thought we were going to work on moving to the chair. And I'm just like, let's see what God has in store today. I'm going to let my natural gifts shine. God knows who I am, what I'm good at. Like, I know who I am, what I'm good at. And if I stop worrying and stop scheming out of fear down to worry, it just happens in beautiful ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I have the best job in the world. I get to know that truth with people every day. I go to work and I pray with people when I'm not at work, or if I'm shopping, I get to hold them in light and see them powerful and wonderful and perfect just as they are. That is the life that I lead, and it's just so fun. I have the most fun in my life than of anybody that I know, because I just genuinely love what I do, and I love being able to bless everybody and to see them perfect just as they are. And I know when we do that, we lift everybody up. When we see them as they are, the true God self they are, we give them permission to also see themselves as they are.
Yes.
On Sunday morning, it's wonderful when I'm doing a message or up there in a meditation, seeing little lights going over the head. It's like, oh, wow, I just got that. I've heard it for weeks or months or years, and now I finally got it. Thank you. Yeah, but it takes a while sometimes for us to get through that subconscious cosmic furballs, as my metaphysics teacher at Unity Village called it. It was just, we have so much in the way, that the belief systems and other people's thoughts and other people's stuff, that we just need to let God do the clearing. Again, we do that with denials very gently. We let go. Edwin Gaines, the wonderful prosperity teacher, said one time the only denial I could pray was, creditors can't eat me. Creditors can't eat me. And I say, well, if that's what you need to do today, then know that is the truth, and they will not eat you today, and tomorrow will be even better.
Yes,
the truth.
This is good stuff, because what you're saying, we can all do. We can all choose to make the intention to be the minister in our neighborhoods, even if
Yes.
that's not your
Absolutely.
job title, by
Yeah.
holding people up. Just practice that, because it definitely has an impact on us personally. Like
Yeah.
when I mean, you're seeing people throughout your day, imagine you're blessing them, or imagine you're anointing them with a magic wand and going poof, and their whole life just changed for the better. If you do that, I'll guarantee you will do one thing. It will make you happy. You will feel happy, because I've done that, and now I'm going to do it again today that I reminded myself
Cool.
to do it after we leave here. And just do this within your own mind. But there was something that may sound so silly to most people, but it really was a life-changing statement, and it helps me a lot of times when I start to think I need more, or how am I going to get out of this, or what are things going to look like in 5 years from now? I'm in regards to my own personal, mine and my wife's finances, or what, it could be anything.
Yeah.
And it's this. Mike Dugan said to me, Darrell, the highest you can get, because I was concerned, how am I going to do this, and how am I going to and earn this, and because he met me when I was so young, and he said, Darrell, the highest anyone gets in life is happy. And I went, what a relief, because I can be happy.
Yeah.
And that's the highest we get.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much money, how little money, what job you're doing. If you're happy, well, then you have it all. I know when I'm happy, when I'm in a happy mood, I have it all. My problems go rip into nothing. They shrink. They fall into their proper perspective, I should say. They just are reduced to their proper perspective. I naturally appreciate people more. I'm not complaining. And I feel really enthusiastic about my future when I'm happy. And it's easy to do. Another thing I thought, well, what if you're not happy? He goes, Darrell, it only takes one thought to make you happy.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Yeah. True. I always check myself through the day. What is my joy level and what's my gratitude level? Whenever I feel low or I'm feeling tired, I feel cranky, I'll say, all right, where's my joy? Where's my gratitude? For me, those two things are everything. I think Katherine Hepburn was the one who said, she was being interviewed by 60 Minutes, I think, and they said, are you happy? And she said, I don't know, what's happy? What is happy? She said, I eat a box of chocolate turtles, I'm happy. I'm out of chocolate turtles, I'm unhappy. I get another box of turtles, I'm happy. She said, happiness really is kind of a human thing, whereas joy is from spirit.
Yeah.
Joy is for no reason whatsoever, but the fact that I am aware that I'm a creation of God, that I'm a child of God, and I am grateful to be creative. I'm grateful to share that with others. I'm grateful for love. I'm grateful for my life, my work, my dog, everything. So that's where it looks like happiness, but really and truly it's divine joy that is pouring forth all the time.
Yes,
and that I'm grateful, and my gratitude will bring more joy, and then pretty much I'm bouncing off the walls and having a great time. Yeah.
Yes. It's funny because early on, when I got sent to the military training facility where we learned about how love and faith are more effective and reliable than force, by that time in my life, I already knew outside things weren't going to work. For some time before that, my parents had been out of my life, but I just knew a new car is not going to give me, I knew all these are chocolates, or a new job, or a move. I lived in Hawaii, and I just came from New Jersey, and I was still discontent. So I knew those outside, like you're high for 30 days, and then the honeymoon's over, is what I'm getting at. So I knew that, and I knew Mike was saying to me is exactly what you're sharing. It's the highest you get is that feeling of joy. And it's that joy of knowing there's so much more than whether you have this or don't have that, and that everything is right in your world because you feel that joy. And you also brought up something good, valuable. The tool of gratitude, because gratitude is a practice that I could reignite my joy with.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
it's so easy to me to overlook what I have and where I am because I'm in it every day. I take it for granted.
Yeah.
You know, I have good friends that remind me,
Yeah.
you know, that say, well, look at where you live. Look at what you're doing. Look at your car. Look at this. I go, you're right. And it starts to kick in again.
Yeah,
Or
right,
we can
right.
do it ourselves, just making a list.
This is incredible. So I open up this May Rowland book again, and she says, "A word of joy that has meant much to me is this: Christ within me is my glory. The brightness of his presence casts out all darkness, and my whole being is full of light." And that Christ is you. It's not just, it's you. It's you awakened to your divinity. It is always there and always knows. And she says, when we touch this inner spring of joy, we feel the strength of it constantly sustaining us no matter what may seem to go wrong in the external world. True happiness is not dependent on conditions. It is not dependent on other persons or on things. It derives from our attitudes of mind, which is what we've been talking about today. True happiness is an outgrowth of the developing of the habit of joy. She says we must cultivate and increase our ability to enjoy life. Enjoy life today. Then the very spirit of happiness will accompany us tomorrow. Our capacity to enjoy life increases as we use it. And on the topic of praise, which was the other thing I was going to read, she says, your faith works to form the perfect conditions desired, and praise is one of the powers of mind you must not fail to use if you would be prosperous. Praise neither affects nor increases God. The principle is there. It doesn't change. It's always good. But it enlarges your own consciousness so that you can receive largely. Refuse to see poverty or disorder. Hold to the idea that you are abundantly prospered, and praise God as the source of it all. You deserve to be prospered, for you are a child of God, and every child of God has a right to be rich.
And so it is.
And so it is.
And so it is.
And
One last thing. I just read in the book Nancy recommended that's the title of the show. You Can Work Your Own Miracles, and it's by Napoleon Hill. And it's this. He says, know thyself. And right after that, it says, your other self. The self of you that has no conception of limitations.
Yep.
And that's that Christ self. It's like, I got to remember, know thyself doesn't mean keep knowing this one that's upset right now.
Yeah.
No, that's not the real me.
Yeah. The God self you are is eternal, joyful, grateful, fun, childlike, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect not meaning flawless, but it just means complete, nothing missing. There's nothing missing
That's right.
from any creation of spirit.
Yeah, and you started saying it earlier, but I want everyone that's listening to really take this into account. We can all be Paul and have fun and have our job be exactly what Paul's job was, seeing the divine in others, regardless of what your profession is.
Right.
I'm sure of this. The Fillmores and all of these early teachers, they were not about like a credential. They were there to awaken the Christ within every person, not just them. That's what the Christ message is all about. It's, take this into your heart. Wherever you are, you can start blessing your way and affirming your way and recognizing your way into heaven on earth and having the perfect job where you are blessing and it becomes fun. I'm doing it in a public school. Darrell's doing it in all of his endeavors. We have so many people that are living proof of this and hold ourselves to that real living standard. It's real and it is available. All right. So do you have that Joyce Kramer writing that we sent you before we let you go?
You talking to me?
Yeah. Did you see it?
I'm on my phone.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Shall I read this Joyce Kramer that we chose for the show?
It goes perfect.
So Joyce Kramer says, I release my need for problems and difficulties. Oh boy, that's the complaining. You can get a lot of juice and friends, quote, out of complaining if you want it.
We call complaining virtue signaling.
Yeah.
If we changed what virtue signaling means to, because there's virtue in how much I'm
struggling too. So I release my need for problems and difficulties. I open my mind to a new awareness of God's ever-present abundant good. Do you enjoy being sick more than you enjoy being well? Do you take pleasure in having conflicts with people more than you appreciate order and harmony in your relationships? Do you so emphasize what you don't have that you completely ignore what you do have? These are easy things. If you're hearing this and you're thinking, I don't, you're lying, because we all do these things sometimes.
Yes.
Are you holding on to your difficulties? Do you like to complain? Your conversations give you away. Emotionally confused people boast because they have ailments that defy doctors, tests, treatment, and even prayer. An unhealthy personality delights in emerging triumphantly in possession of problems, regardless of the help received. Take a good look at yourself. Are your prayers being answered? Are you prepared to cope with life as a happy, healthy, wealthy, powerful child of God? Are you willing to change your thinking and your conversations to make ready for God's good? Because that's all we got to do. We just got to make ready for God's good. And then from Ecclesiastes 7:19, wisdom strengthens the wise more than 10 rulers of the city.
Cool.
So Paul
Yeah.
Tenaglia. So you are at Unity of Pompano Beach. Unity
Pompano
of
Beach.
Pompano Beach.
Pompano
We-
Beach, right above Fort Lauderdale. Yeah.
Okay, we put the link to your church website in the YouTube and it on the audio for those who are listening through the podcast apps.
Yeah.
So you can either visit Paul in person or you could go to their website. You can see their live streams and this stuff's medicinal. You guys are talking about, like, this is the thing. Just reading, like hearing someone like Paul speak these truths, it's medicinal too. Because our inner Christ wakes up watching one of his talks. Darrell and I, we're like the Hair Club for Men guy. We're not only what is it?
I'm not just
The CEO or something?
I'm not just the CEO. I'm also a client.
Yeah, we're also clients, which is why we reached out to Paul, because we were just blown away. We did find this is a long time ago early in your career, but we found a little story.
We found a little story about you on TMZ.
We're not sure if this
the
is
ministry page.
Yeah.
Oh.
We can't confirm or deny this is true.
Okay.
So early in his ministry, the church council met to discuss Paul's compensation package for the coming year. After the meeting, the chair of the council told Paul,
We're very sorry, Paul, but we decided we cannot give you a raise next year.
Paul pleaded.
But you must give me a raise. I am but a poor minister.
The chair replied,
We know, Paul. We hear you every Sunday.
this is a long time ago before these truth principles and this prosperous Paul that we have today settled in.
I've never said poor in my life. Lie. I've never used that 4-letter word in my life. It's about me anyway.
Thank God.
Thank
God.
goodness.
We'll have that redacted from their website. Don't worry,
There
our
we
people
go.
are
Yeah,
working on that.
was never.
These
that was-
lies.
TMZ
fake
can't
news.
be trusted.
Come on.
In
Well,
my first ministry, the board, there was a new board president who came on and says, "Well, we're cutting your salary," and I said, "And I'm leaving." I said, "That is not prosperity, and that's not fundraising. That's not creative or holy fundraising. So bless you, and I'm moving on to a higher good." And they tend to they did not listen to the teachings, and they shrunk.
Yep.
yeah, we
You
see
know,
that.
We see that a lot. And
Yeah.
you gotta
Yeah,
keep,
you know,
yeah,
fear.
we just, yeah.
Fear.
It's all fear, man.
Oh my
You gotta
God.
live it.
Music to our ears, Paul. Before we sing out this song to take us out, we want to sincerely thank you
Yep.
for coming into our lives.
Through Nancy, of all people.
The perfect
Absolutely.
person to take the seat, because Nancy was we already had her scheduled to join us this week, and she blessed us with an invitation to reach out to you. So we want to thank
glad
you and thank
you.
Nancy.
Thanks. You guys
Yeah.
are fun. You make truth fun.
Well,
Oh,
so do
so do
you,
you.
sir. So
It
you know
is.
why?
Because we have an old hymn here. Old hymnal. You ready?
Yeah. Let the good times roll. Let God knock you around. Let the good times roll. Let God make you a clown. Let God leave you up in the air. Let God brush your rock and roll hair. Let the good times roll. Let the good times roll. Let the good times roll.
Visit DarrellandEd.com to find easy links to everything we do. And thanks again
Unity
for
of
being
Pompano Beach, Florida. Thank you for being with us today.
a
You're
part of
welcome.
Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed.
Let good stories be told. Let us claim what we want. Let the image be bold. Let us show what we want. Let God leave you up in the air. Let God brush your rock and roll hair. Let the good times roll. Let the good times roll. Let the good times roll. Thank you.
I think we scared Paul.
Oh, believe me, it takes a lot more than that to scare me.
All right, he's one of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
That was
God
fun.
bless you, Paul. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Great to meet you guys. That was so much fun.
Same here, man. We love you.
Have a
Thank
great
you so
week.